JP Rangaswami is Chief Scientist at Salesforce.com, and he joins me now live from Hampshire. Thank you so much, JP, for joining us. In terms of the incentives, certainly in this country, it does seem like the Prime Minister has tried to up them. We now have this thing called Startup Britain. Do you believe that we're still leagues behind the United States? And if so, is it the lack of government incentives?
I don't really think that we're that far behind. I think that there has been an evolution of the environment and the infrastructure needed, particularly on the West Coast, which has distinguished from everywhere else. But, you know, I think there are 8 billion reasons why people might disagree right now when you look at an acquisition like Skype.
But what is your biggest concern today? Are you happy to be working in Europe and expanding here in Europe instead of looking in the United States? You talk about infrastructure, but is there a lack of money for businesses, for small entrepreneurs here?
For sure, I think the funding structures are different in Europe, and they're still catching up. But, you know, when I look at firms like Spotify, I can see the value that exists within the funding community here. But personally, because I can't see talent actually facing any borders, I may work for a U.S. company, but the staff in that company are spread all over the world. The culture today is that global organizations will arbitrage on taxation,
but a lot of these
will arbitrage
global
on funding.
organizations seem to be based in the United States. If you look at Apple, Microsoft, and Google, they were started in the United States. Are we going to have our own Apple or Google here in Europe over the next 10 years?
Well, Apple may not be Apple today without Johnny Ive, but I take your point on the funding, the hinterland for being able to build. I think the creative capacity has always been there and will continue to be there. The ability to attract talent is not always that easy, and there the government support and freeing up of immigration laws does take place and needs to improve. The work that's being done on actual support for money, the capital structures, we still have some way to go because much of Europe lends at a much shorter time scale than I would see for its equivalent in the U.S.